What's up everybody, welcome to My Pixel. As always, it's awesome to have you here. If you're new to the channel, then nice to meet you. Today, let's go ahead and give our players some power-ups. Up until now, we've made our enemies bigger and stronger, but our poor little king hasn't gotten any upgrades, and I think he needs more power. So let's go ahead and give him some right now. Alright, so we're going to give our king more power. How are we going to do that? Well, the only way he hits the enemies is with fireballs, so why don't we just give him a stronger fireball? So to do that, we'll create a new fireball similar to our old one. So we'll create a new scene over here, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the area 2D. Let's go ahead and rename that area 2D. Okay, and our old one here was called Fireball. Yeah, just Fireball. So this is going to give it away, but we're going to call this Fireball Red. So if you can guess what color our Fireball is going to be now. Alright, so that's that. Then we're going to need to go ahead and add an animated sprite. So we'll do that. For our sprite frames, let's create some sprite frames here. Let's see. I believe we call the last one shoot. Let's actually let's open up the old one, and then let's go into our animated sprite and let's have some sort of consistency over here. Okay, so shoot. So we'll go into here. We have Fireball Red, animated sprite, and then sprite frames. Instead of default, we're going to head and call this shoot. Our standard for this project we use so often, 12 FPS with the loop on. And then we're going to go into sprites, and I've prepared a red fireball. So put that in there and that in there. Right, so at 12 frames per second, it's just going to loop and bounce through those two. Okay, so that's the animated sprite. Then we're also going to need a collision shape. Collision shape 2D. So we have something to collide with. And let's see. Again, using the trackpad, so my movement around the screen is a little bit slow. If you just bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. And then, okay, here, so collision shape, and then we need to add to the collision shape. Let's just go ahead and add a rectangle shape. And then, again, let's see, make sure pixel snap is on. And then we're going to use the inside handles to go ahead and reshape this. Okay, we did it like that. Let's see, how exactly did we do the other one? Let's see how the collision shape looks like. Alright, it's on the front, and then there's the tail. Okay, so we just did it on the front like that. Alright, yeah, that looks right. Okay, so there's our collision shape. And then we also added a visibility notifier. Visibility notifier. So that we can tell when this fireball leaves the screen. And then for the visibility notifier, let's see, our fireball needs a script. Sorry folks, jumping around here. If you're a little bit confused about what we're doing with the fireball, then please visit the other video. I think it might be episode 6 or 5. It says fireball's alright. And then the pace will be a little bit slower. You'll see how you can create the fireball there at a little bit easier pace. But for now, we're just jumping all over the place trying to figure out how I did this last time. Okay, so the script that is in our old fireball, we're pretty much going to use that same thing again. It's not going to be much different, so let's just go ahead and copy and paste that in. And then so far we haven't saved our fireball here, so why don't we go ahead, Control S, and it's going to save as fireball red down here. That's fantastic. So save. Okay. We have a visibility notifier. Okay, so now that we have the script in there, let's see, script for the fireball red, and this was the, actually here it was for the visibility notifier. Let me just go ahead and comment that out for a second, and let's just go through the process of having it create that function again for us. So on screen exited, right, in the visibility notifier, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to connect this to the fireball red area 2D, make function, connect, and as you can see, it just created something that looks exactly the same, but you need to make sure that you connect it inside of the editor and everything. So we just did it all over again. Okay, and then when it exits the screen, we want to queue free it, right? And again, this is so that it doesn't take up additional memory floating off into outer space, even though we can't see it or use it, right? We want the engine to completely destroy it, clear it out of memory, so we're free to use that memory for something else. So that's that there. Okay. All right, that's a pretty good start for our fireball. Let's save that. All right, so this fireball is supposed to do more damage to the enemy. We have enemy HP, but at this point, let's see, we call on fireball body entered. Actually, this is another signal. Let's go ahead and comment that out, and let's go ahead and create the connection again. So we're gonna say fireball red, and we're gonna say on body entered. We're gonna connect it to ourselves here. And you can see the names are slightly different, right? This one says on fireball red body entered. Our old one was on fireball entered. Okay, but it's basically the same. So let's go ahead and remove that, and then we're going to just copy this. So if enemy in body.name body dead, right? So if we collide with the enemy, and we're going to know that because it'll have enemy in the name, then we're going to run the dead function, which originally just went ahead and killed off the enemy until we added HP and stuff like that. So we're going to have to do a little bit of modification here, but we'll just copy that there. So, and we also want to queue free the fireball if it hits the enemy. Actually, well, we want to queue free the fireball anytime it's going to hit a body. So it's going to hit either the static body, which is the environment, or the enemy. If it hits either of them, it's going to queue free it. That's why this is at the bottom over here, outside of the if statement. If it hits the if statement, that means it's going to check if it's an enemy. If it's an enemy, then it's going to try to hurt the enemy. All right, so we'll have to come to this in a little bit, but let's save. And then let's go ahead and jump into our enemy scene. Where are we? Enemy scene. Okay, and then we want to drop down into the dead function. Okay, so inside of this dead function, you see that the first thing we do when we call it is we reduce HP by 1. All right, so the blue fireball is going to reduce HP by 1. That's fine. But now that we have a red fireball and it's supposed to be stronger, we're going to want to reduce HP by more than just 1. So, but in the script, we can't change that, right? If we change this to a 2, then it's always going to be a 2. If we change this to a 3, it's always going to be a 3. So this is going to need to be a variable. So what we'll do is, inside of this dead here, this dead function, we'll go ahead and we'll create an argument. And why don't we call this argument damage? Okay, so we're going to pass in an argument that's going to be given the name damage. So now inside of here, we can say HP minus damage. All right. So now when the fireball hits, it's going to subtract any number that we send into the dead function. So if we save that, and then we jump back into our fireball, or our fireball red, right now you see we just call body.dead. But because now we have the argument we want to put in there, we're going to have to put something in here. So in our case, we're going to use an integer, right? Because we're going to subtract, we're going to make it 2, and we're going to subtract 2 from the current HP. So for the fireball body or fireball red, when you call the dead function, you want to call the dead function with an argument of 2. Okay, so we can save that. And then we also have to go back to our old fireball because it had no argument, and we just added a new argument. So again, right, you see similarly here we have a body.dead with no argument. We're going to need to put something in there now. So we'll do the red fireball stronger, so it takes off 2 HP, and we'll just make the blue fireball like it did before, and it'll take off 1 HP. But we need to make sure that we put that in there. We save. All right, and with that, our fireballs are as they should be. If we went ahead and we ran our game, we can just run it just to make sure our fireballs still work. We can see that the fireballs, or the original fireball, still hits, it still animates, and it still does everything properly. And this guy should go down with 1 shot. And this guy, I think, took 2 because he had 2 HP. Later on, when we hit him with the red fireball, they should go down quicker. But right now, after making all those changes, we can go ahead, check our work, make sure that we didn't screw anything up in the process, and we see that we didn't. Everything is currently working just fine. Now that the fireballs are configured as they should be, let's go into the player scene. So open up our player scene here. Now that we have 2 fireballs, we're going to have to add them in here. So we have this old constant that says fireball. And now we'll create a new one. Let's just call this similarly fireball red equals preload. Let's see, res :/ fireball red.tscn. Okay, and this is all so that we're able to instance the red fireball also. Before we only had the blue fireball. And if we go down to where we shoot the fireball, we're going to need to make adjustments there also. So over here, we see, okay, we play the attack animation, and now we get into shooting the fireball. So it says var fireball equals the fireball constant, which was the blue fireball, dot instance. Actually, we're going to need an if statement here. Sorry, folks. Okay, let's go ahead and let's create a new variable. And we're just going to go ahead and call this variable fireball underscore power. And we're going to set it equal to 1. So when you start the game, you're going to shoot, you have no power-ups. You're going to shoot the blue fireballs by default. So blue fireball power is 1. So we're going to put that there. And this is just basically going to track how strong our fireballs are. I could have made this a Boolean saying, hey, he's powered up or he's not. But we're just going to make it an integer here so that, let's say maybe we want a purple fireball or a green fireball. And those are going to have stronger powers in the future. Then we can be, we'll be free, to change this to whatever we want. So we'll put fireball power in there. Okay, and then we'll go back down to where we shoot the fireball. And then we're going to say we have the fireball instance. So we're going to enclose this in an if statement. Just tab this in before I forget. So if fireball power equals 1, then we're going to want to, colon. Then we're going to want to instance the blue fireball, which is this capital Fireball here. Okay, else if, instead of doing an else, saying just anything else, we're just going to do an else if in case we want to add more fireballs. So else if fireball power equals 2, then this fireball variable is not going to equal the old constant that we had. It's going to be the new one, the red fireball instance. So fireball power equals 1, instance of blue fireball. If fireball power equals 2, then instance the red fireball. Pretty easy. Okay, instance. All right. We don't have any errors. Okay, that looks good. Okay, now that we've established if fireball power equals 1, then you shoot the blue. If fireball power equals 2, then you shoot the red. We need to go ahead and make some kind of function, or we need to enable the changing of that fireball power variable. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a function. So let's just create it down at the bottom over here. Okay, and let's just call our new function. Let's go ahead and call it, what was I going to call it here? Crown underscore power underscore up. Okay, so function crown power up. So when we call this, to know that we got powered up, we're going to change the fireball variable, right? The fireball power variable over here. So why don't we just go ahead and copy that since we're looking at it. Put it down right here, fireball power, and we're going to set it equal to 2. That's all this function is going to do. So when something calls this function, we're going to set our fireball power equal to 2. Now that we have this function, what's going to call this function? Well, what is going to call that function? What we're going to do is we have to create our power up. And then when we touch the power up, then that's going to trigger a call to this function. So let's go ahead and create a new scene. We're going to create a power up in our new scene. So we'll just create a new scene there. We're going to do an area 2D. Okay, we're just going to rename our area 2D to crown. Then we're going to do an animated sprite. This is going to look pretty similar to our fireball scenes. So animated sprite, and we're going to do a collision shape 2D. Whoops, collision shape 2D needs to be a child of crown, not animated sprite. Okay, so an animated sprite, why don't we go ahead and we'll add some sprite frames. Get in here. Let's just call it default. Default. What should we call this? It's just spinning. Let's just call it idle. I don't know. Because that's what like a default animation for a player or character would be. An idle power up maybe doesn't make the most sense, but let's just go with idle, right? We can always change it later if we want. So 12 FPS, loop, sprites. We're gonna go ahead and pull some sprites. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now that we have that, let's go to our collision shape. We'll just do our pretty standard rectangle shape. And this is not going to fit exactly. This is an issue because of the fact that this sprite is an odd number of pixels vertically and horizontally, right? If you have an odd number of pixels, that gives you an always centered pixel, which is very nice if you're trying to make something pointy or yeah, something like that. But it doesn't work very well when you want to use these kind of collision boxes that always are going to work on powers or on some multiple of 2. So either you can change your sprite, or you can change the type of collision shape you're using. They got other collision shapes that we can use. They got collision polygons and stuff like that, but we're just going to use this. It's going to be good enough. You'll get the point from this, and then that'll be good. Actually, let's just make it a little bit bigger, right? We don't want to touch it and then actually touch it and then not pick it up. So you always want to give the player, or whoever's playing your game, more leeway, right? So that they don't feel like they're cheated. So let's make this collision box just a little bit bigger than the sprite itself. Now let's go ahead and let's use signals again. So click back on the Area 2D root here. We're going to node. We're going to say body entered. And then we're going to connect that back to the root of crown. Connect, target. Oh, okay, well, first we need to make a script on here. Okay, so crown, let's go ahead and save that. So it'll save the scene. Okay, then let's go ahead and add a script. Create. Sure. Let's just go ahead and save once more. Now we should be able to go and to node here. Oops. Node. Okay. And then the body entered. Connect. Connected to crown. Earlier didn't want to connect because we didn't have any script in crown, so it couldn't possibly create this function. Now we got a script, and now we're good. Okay, so we don't need any of this stuff here for now because we're just using this signal. When this signal happens, or when something touches this, then something happens. Other than that, it's not going to do anything really. Oh, actually, sorry. It will do something. So in the ready function, func ready, let's put that back there. We want to actually play the animation, right? So we need to go to animated sprite dot play, and then our animation was called idle. Now that we have that, we can go and program our signal here. So, okay, so the crown is there. Somebody's going to touch it, right? We only want the player to touch it. So let's do it like this. If player in body.name, right? Similar to the fireballs, right? If there was, let's just look back in there, right? If enemy in body.name, because we only wanted the fireballs to affect the enemy. So in this case, we only want the player to be able to pick up the crown. So if player in body.name, then what we're going to do is body, which is going to be the player. We created our function, crown power up. So we're going to do that for once. And so if we touch the crown power up, then we're going to tell the player, hey, power yourself up. And then we will just queue free the crown. Right? We don't want it to stay on the screen and the player pick it up how many times, right? So we just queue free it there. And then we'll go back into our stage 1 scene because we need to put the crown someplace. It needs to be on our stage. So let's just go with back in here. Where should we put it? Let's go ahead and be cheap about it. Let's put it right over here in the beginning. It'll be really easy to grab. Okay, so it's over there. Now this enemy over here, I think it was it enemy 1 or this first enemy? I just want to see, okay, for reference, this guy's got 2 HP. So if it's a blue fireball, he should take 2 hits to go down. But if we can shoot a red fireball, then he should go down in 1 hit. So I just wanted to confirm the HP. So this guy right here, he should go down with 1 red fireball. Okay. Then we're going to put the crown here, all right, which we already did. Let's go ahead and save. And I think that actually gives us everything that we need. So why don't we run this and see what happens? If we have any problems, then I'm sure they'll pop up. I think it'll be pretty obvious. Okay. Identifier, not found fireball. Okay, so I think I figured out what happened here. Earlier we had the var fireball, right? We declared it inside of this if block. So it was scoped to that block. Now I created another if statement and I created a var fireball in here. So I don't think I ever explained about scope, but if you create a fireball, like you, not a fireball, if you create a variable and you declare it inside of an if block, it is only valid inside of that if block. So you see, we created the variable fireball. It's only valid until this if block ends. So that's our problem. As it gets down here, it can't find the fireball. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to declare it before we modify it in here. So we should be able to do that with, we'll just say var fireball equals null. Right? It's just null. It's fine. Something is going to be there, right? We just need this fireball variable to exist. We don't need anything inside of it. And then over here, instead of declaring it in here, we're just going to use the fireball variable that we declared out here. I think later on I'll make another video about scope. If you look it up online, you might see local scope, block scope, function scope, and everything like that. But scope, just the long and short, the short of it is, it's where something is valid. So if a variable has a certain scope, it's only valid within this area. Global scope would be from anywhere. Okay, so in any case, we created that. All our errors went away, and this should work fine now. So let's go ahead and run this again. Hope for no errors. Okay, we don't get any errors right off the bat. That's good. Now we see our crown here. We can see it. It's moving around, looking like a champ. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit this guy. Or let's just shoot, right? We got a blue fireball. 1, 2. He goes down with 2. Let's go ahead and restart our game. And let's see what happens when we grab this crown. Okay, good. The crown disappeared. It Q-freed like we wanted to. What color is our fireball? We got a red one. Fantastic. Okay, let's shoot this guy, right? We're stronger now. Here we go. Boom! See that? All right, he goes down. I forget how many HP that this guy's got. Okay, let's go back and see. 2D. This is the second enemy. This guy's got 5 HP. So he should go down with 5, or he should go down with 3 red fireballs, right? Let's just for fun, let's test it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, he goes down. Let's try that again. Let's go ahead and grab our crown. Now we're super powered up. Right, 2, 4, 6. Right, that's how many HP. He's only got 5, right? So he went down with 3 fireballs. This guy will go down. And then we get to run through our stage and just unleash mayhem with our super fireball now. I forget how many HP these guys got. I think they only got 1 anyway, so we're just overkilling them. But right, so now we got this fireball for days. Right, we can use this. Looks great. So run our game again just for fun. But yeah, so you can see how that's pretty easy, right? Everything works how we want it to. I think this animation here is a little I could have worked a little bit harder on it, but I think you get the idea, right? You can make it do whatever you want, make it spin nicer, make it glow or something like that. But in any case, our Q-free works fine. It's calling all our functions fine. So then, just to recap, okay, we had to create a fireball. We created a new fireball. It was almost exactly the same as our old fireball. We created a script. Right? It was, for the most part, it was the same. But now we said, okay, well, when we hit the enemy, we're going to pass an integer into the dead function. The integer is going to be the amount of damage it takes. We go into the enemy, we pull our dead function. That the damage is set as an argument, right? So we set it 2 on the red fireball, and then we subtract that from the HP. That's how we got that. After that, we went into our player, and then we made sure that, or we, just like the blue fireball, we preloaded the scene resource over here. We gave ourselves a fireball power just to track if we're powered up or not. We go down into our code for shooting the fireball. We had to change this around a little bit as we just went through, right? I ran into that error, but we still have the fireball variable. We just got it out here now. And then if we're at normal power, which is 1, we're going to instance the blue fireball. If we're powered up, we're going to instance the red fireball. Okay? And then we had to set our fireball power. How were we going to do that? We did it with an additional function called crown power up. Right? So this function, all it does is it sets our fireball power 2 so that we know we're in a powered up status. Then we went ahead and we made our crown. Put everything in there, right? Animated sprite, collision shape 2D. Pretty simple. Go into our script. On the ready function, this is when it starts in the scene. We just wanted to play the animation, simple. And then we went ahead and we created the signal for when something touches it, or for when some kind of body touches it. So we don't want this crown to disappear or be activated when an enemy touches it. So we specified if the player touches it, then we're going to run the player's crown power up function. And then we're going to queue free the crown so it just disappears off the stage. So that's a mouthful, and that was a lot, but as you can see, it does work. I think if you just take it step by step, it's not too difficult. Again, we changed a lot of things, but you know, hey, this is YouTube, right? Feel free to go back, rewind, watch it however many times you need to. And if you still have any questions, as always, feel free to drop me a question in the comments, and I'll do my best to see if we can figure out what's going on for you. But in any case, as we can see, once again, everything does work. I'm pretty happy with the result. I actually didn't test this before I tried it. I kind of just winged it today. I might have been all over the place, as you might have been able to tell. So thank you for sticking with me. But I think we ended up with something pretty good, and it works. So again, use your imagination, and you can extend this as far as your imagination will go. Today we were able to go ahead and give our game power-ups. Why? Because every game needs power-ups. We had to put quite a bit of work into it, but it was just a lot of rearranging the same thing. So as long as you take it step by step and test at different phases in your programming, I think you're going to be okay. And that's going to do it for today, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I really hope you found this helpful. If you liked today's video, please give it a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. As always, the sprites, source code, and everything else that I've used in this tutorial today is available on my Patreon page. So if you want to check that out and also support the channel, the link is in the description. On that note, I'd like to give a shout out to all of my Pixels patrons. All of you out there are super awesome, and thank you for the added support. It really does go a long way to keeping this channel going and also helping to take this channel's content to the next level. And with that, we'll call it a day. So thank you again to everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next one real soon. Take it easy.